venture to say that business seldom takes the time to listen to the stakeholders. We've got one of the best constitutions. We've got the legislation on transformation that deals with employment equity, that deals with the triple BE, which has just been revised. But if you look at a lot of companies, they have applied these laws through compulsion. And you ask yourself, if all of us abhorred apartheid, if all of us recognized the inhumanity of apartheid, and if all of us recognized that business operated under the cloak of apartheid laws and enjoyed huge profits under the cloak of apartheid laws, what has changed in the psyche of business post-apartheid? I could give you a lot of examples, but the example that is very obvious and I believe is uncontroversial relates to the mining sector, which was the bedrock of apartheid system in South Africa. It was also the bedrock of the economy of South Africa. And it unashamedly used black labor to ensure that this country was successful. Has that industry collectively sat down and said, are we going, or have we in the last 22 years, brick by brick, looked at all those and tried to remove them? Instead, we get a lot of complaints. I'm not saying nothing has been done. Don't hear me wrong. But the question is, have they been engaged with those stakeholders that they exploited under apartheid laws during apartheid? I speak from a position of privilege in that for the last 30 years, I've engaged with the mining sector in one way or another. So I've seen the development of that sector, and I've seen how, now that we're under hard times, and let me give you one example, which for me has, as I reflected on this, when I mediated disputes in the mining sector, including mediating a dispute between the NUM and the Chamber of Mines a couple of years ago. And I looked, and that was post-1994, and I looked at the way in which that negotiation was taking place. The baseline was not touched. The baseline was apartheid wage approach. And that baseline was not touched. There was nobody who said, let's just forget about this and just say to ourselves, what are the issues, what are the parameters that we would look at in the next 20 years? And we know the tragedies that have taken place in the platinum industry. And I've sat on a board of a platinum company. So I'm using this example as an example where you can go and read about these things. You can go and look at them. Insofar as we as business, now that I'm sitting on this side of the fence, and I'm sitting on boardrooms, and I'm listening to my colleagues in the boardrooms, there is no sense that these issues are ethical issues. These are business issues. Business decisions are being made. We do not think about, when we look, as a simple example of remuneration of executives that have got to be aligned with the shareholder. We don't look at the stakeholder, which are the rest of the employees, as whether their remuneration should not be aligned with the shareholder. When we look at industries where we are using water and other resources with those communities, we try and negotiate with the Department of Environmental Affairs to ensure that we pay as little as possible with disregard to the communities around us. So for me, it's very critical that as business, we take a step back. We look to what we did or what we didn't do 22 years ago.